I had been waiting all week for my brand new sneakers to arrive, and they weren't just any sneakers. These were the limited edition pair I'd been saving up for. The kind with a slick design that turns heads the moment you step outside. You know that feeling when you've had your eye on something for months, and finally, the purchase goes through? That anticipation mixed with relief? I felt it the moment I hit the checkout button. Delivery day came around and like always, I was stuck at work. No big deal, I thought. Packages always get dropped neatly at my porch, sometimes tucked to the side, but always there when I get home. So I did what I always do. I kept refreshing my phone like a kid waiting for Christmas. The notification finally came through. Package delivered at your front door. I felt the relief wash over me. My sneakers were safe. They were home. But the moment I pulled into my driveway later that day, something felt off. My porch looked too clean, too empty. I hurried up the steps, expecting maybe the box was hidden behind the chair or tucked near the mat. I checked the bushes. I looked over the fence. I searched everywhere a delivery driver might have placed it, thinking maybe they'd gone above and beyond to keep it secure. Nothing. Not a trace. My first instinct was to call the delivery company. Maybe there was a mistake. Maybe the driver had left it somewhere else, and there was a simple explanation I was missing. I pulled up the confirmation email with shaking hands, and there it was, a timestamp, a photo, even a picture of my sneakers sitting proudly on my porch. The proof was undeniable. My package had been delivered. The driver had photographic evidence. So I called customer service, expecting them to help me track it down, to offer some kind of solution, or at least take responsibility. What I got instead was a rehearsed apology, and a shoulder shrug wrapped in corporate speak. They confirmed the package was delivered and left safely on my porch. Their driver had even sent proof. Everything was done correctly on their end. The company basically washed their hands clean of it, leaving me with nothing but a fake smile through the phone and a sorry for the inconvenience. That's when something clicked. This wasn't random. A stranger didn't just happen to walk by and see a box sitting there. Someone had to have been watching. Someone nearby who knew when I wasn't home. Someone who understood the rhythm of my day well enough to predict when packages would arrive and when I'd be gone. The realization made my skin crawl. It wasn't just about the sneakers anymore. It was about the violation of it all. The fact that someone out there was paying attention to me. Weeks passed, and I convinced myself it was a fluke. A one-time thing. Maybe someone passing by saw the package and couldn't resist the temptation. Lightning doesn't strike twice, right? Then my nephew's birthday came up. He'd been begging for a specific set of action figures. Bright, colorful, nothing too expensive, but special enough that I wanted him to have them on time. I ordered them without hesitation, and as delivery day approached, a small knot formed in my stomach. Not fear, exactly. Just a nagging feeling I couldn't quite shake. When the notification came through at work, package delivered at your front door, I felt that same relief wash over me, followed immediately by doubt. I pulled up the live tracking, refreshed it obsessively, and told myself I was being paranoid. But when I got home, and my porch was bare again, not even a scrap of tape or cardboard left behind, my stomach dropped as I'd fallen off a cliff. This wasn't random. Lightning had struck twice. Someone wasn't just taking advantage of an opportunity. They were actively hunting for my deliveries. They were watching me, waiting for my orders to arrive and swooping in like a vulture the moment I left for work. The fury built in my chest, mixing with a kind of disbelief I'd never felt before. It wasn't just about the packages anymore. It was about principle. If I let this continue, what else could they take? My sense of safety? My ability to live normally in my own neighborhood? My peace of mind was already slipping away, and I realized I had to do something. 2 days later, I decided enough was enough. If there was anyone in this neighborhood who could help me, it had to be the HOA president. Her name was Karen, and she was always boasting about keeping the neighborhood safe and orderly, constantly patrolling the streets, bossing people around at every meeting. Maybe for once, her meddling could actually serve a purpose. So I walked over to her house, knocked on the door, and was greeted by Karen herself, wearing that permanent frown that made her look like she'd smelled something rotten. I explained my situation calmly, told her about both missing packages, and asked if the HOA could review any security cameras or send out a notice to residents about the theft problem. She nodded like she cared, though her eyes darted around as if she had somewhere better to be, like I was wasting her time. We were mid-conversation when her teenage son came strolling into the living room, and my jaw nearly hit the floor. On his feet, bold as daylight, were the exact same limited edition sneakers I had ordered for myself. The pair that never even made it inside my house. The world seemed to tilt. My chest tightened, and every muscle in my body went rigid, but I forced myself to stay calm. I couldn't just accuse them outright, not without proof. If I were wrong, I'd look like a fool, and they'd know I suspected them. But deep down, beneath the shock and the rage, I knew. I was staring at the thief's family. Someone in this house had been watching me. Someone in this house had stolen from me. And the woman sitting in front of me, the one who preached about neighborhood safety, was either complicit or guilty herself. I couldn't storm into Karen's house and start pointing fingers based on a pair of sneakers. What if I was wrong? What if her son had bought them elsewhere? I needed undeniable proof, the kind that would hold up against any denial or excuse. So I went back to square one and did what I should have done from the beginning. I installed cameras. Not the bulky, obvious kind that screams security system from a mile away. I bought tiny ones, almost invisible, the kind you'd never notice unless you were specifically looking for them. I mounted them around my porch, tucked under the trim, disguised near the plants, hidden in places where they'd capture everything but reveal nothing. From the street, you'd never know they were there. With my surveillance ready and my mind sharp, I set the bait. This time, I ordered something small and cheap, just a phone charger and a pair of headphones. Nothing flashy, nothing that would seem valuable at first glance, but perfect to lure out whoever had been robbing me. The package arrived in the afternoon, and I got the notification at work. My heart pounded as I pulled up my phone to check the live feed. I propped it on my desk, watching in real time, my eyes never leaving the screen. For a while, nothing happened. Hours passed. The sun shifted across my porch. I refreshed the feed over and over, wondering if maybe the thief had gotten spooked, if they'd sensed danger and decided to lie low. Then, just when I thought maybe the thief had given up, a familiar figure appeared on the screen. My jaw dropped. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't her son. It was Karen herself. The HOA president herself casually walked up my porch as if she owned the place. Not sneaking, not hurrying. Just strolling across my lawn like she had every right to be there. Scanning the street for witnesses with the casual awareness of someone who'd done this 100 times before. My breath caught in my throat. I watched Ben down, examine the package for a split second, and then snatch it with the confidence of someone who'd already gotten away with it twice. She tucked it under her arm, glanced around like a guilty raccoon caught in headlights, and strutted back toward her house without a single moment of hesitation. I stared at the footage in disbelief, cycling through the clips over and over, rewinding and replaying the moment she took what was mine. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. Because it wasn't her son. It was never her son. She wasn't just covering for a troubled teenager. She was the thief the entire time. The woman who sat across from me, nodding sympathetically while I explained my problem, was the one creating it. The HOA president, who preached about neighborhood safety and order, had been systematically stealing packages off my porch, watching me, waiting for me to leave so she could take what she wanted. The hypocrisy was suffocating, but alongside the anger came something else, something cold and calculating. Opportunity, because now I had her, on camera, undeniable proof. And if Karen wanted to play dirty, I was ready to show her what nuclear looked like. I could have reported her immediately, called the police, filed a complaint with the HOA board, handed over the footage, and watched the legal system take its course. But that felt too simple, too quick, too merciful for someone who'd violated my peace and my home with such casual confidence. If Karen wanted to play dirty, I'd play nuclear. Instead of reporting her right away, I decided to hit her where it hurt most, her pride, her image, her carefully curated reputation as the neighborhood's guardian of order. So I started planning. I ordered the components one by one, careful not to raise suspicion. Spring loaders, glitter powder, the industrial kind that clings to everything, a stink spray canister that promised the foulest odor imaginable, a packet of industrial dye in the brightest neon green I could find. I spent an entire night in my garage rigging them inside a cardboard box with the focus of a mad scientist, choreographing every element like a pyrotechnician designing fireworks. The spring loader would trigger the moment the box opened, launching the glitter directly into her face. The stink spray would follow immediately after, filling the air with a stench that wouldn't wash away for days. The dye would splatter across her skin and clothes, marking her as visibly as a scarlet letter. I sealed the box neatly with Amazon-style tape, even weighed it down with junk so it felt real when picked up, authentic in every way. This wasn't just revenge, this was going to be art. A masterpiece of proportional justice disguised as a simple delivery. I placed the package squarely on my porch in plain sight, then sat back at work with my phone propped up on the desk, live feed rolling. Hours passed. I refreshed my email, pretended to work, but my attention never left that screen. And just like clockwork, Karen appeared. She strutted across my lawn as if she owned the place, scanning the street for witnesses with the practiced ease of a repeat offender. My heart thumped as she bent down, snatched the box, and walked off smugly. She had no clue what was about to hit her. Moments later, the cameras caught everything. The second she opened the box in the privacy of her own home, a spring-loaded mechanism exploded with a bang that probably echoed through her living room. Glitter shot straight into her face like a confetti cannon at a kid's birthday party. A violent burst of rainbow sparkles coating her hair, her skin, her clothes in blinding, shimmering chaos. But it didn't stop there. A burst of industrial stink spray followed immediately after, filling the air with the foulest odor imaginable. Like rotten eggs soaked in vinegar, like decay given form and scent. The kind of smell that doesn't just offend your nose, it invades your lungs and refuses to leave. Then came the dye. A bright neon green liquid that splattered across her cheeks and stained her hands like paint. Permanent and vivid and impossible to ignore. I watched it all unfold on my phone screen, and I couldn't help it. I laughed so hard at my desk that I nearly fell out of my chair. The kind of laugh that comes from a place of pure, unbridled satisfaction. The tension that had been building for weeks finally broke, and all I could do was grin at the screen as Karen staggered back, shrieking and waving her arms like a woman possessed, looking less like an HOA president and more like a deranged cartoon villain. But I wasn't done. I rushed home, eager to witness the aftermath in person, to see the full scope of what justice looked like. By the time I pulled up to my neighborhood, half of it had gathered outside, phones out, recording Karen as she screamed and tried to scrub her face with a garden hose. The dye wasn't budging. The stink clung to her like a curse that had taken root in her very being. And the glitter sparkled across her every movement, her hair, her clothes, her skin. She looked like a walking, smelly disco ball, a monument to her own greed and deception. That night, I clipped the footage and sent it straight to the HOA board with a polite note attached. "Here's your president keeping the neighborhood safe," I wrote. Simple, direct, undeniable. By the next HOA meeting, Karen was cornered. Every single board member had seen the video. They'd watched their president steal packages off a neighbor's porch. They'd witnessed her humiliation in real time, captured in vivid, embarrassing detail. She couldn't squirm out of it. She couldn't deny it. She couldn't spin it or reframe it or hide behind her authority. The evidence was too clear, too visual, too damaging to her carefully constructed image. The board voted unanimously. She was forced to pay me double the value of every stolen package. Compensation that went far beyond what I'd lost materially. But more than that, she was permanently stripped of her HOA presidency. The woman who'd spent years bossing people around, who'd lectured everyone about neighborhood standards and safety while stealing from her neighbors, was removed from power in a single meeting. And the best part? The dye stain still hadn't fully washed off weeks later. When she was forced to sit through that meeting, to face the consequences of her actions, she was still glowing, still marked, still a walking, neon reminder of what happens when you prey on people under the guise of authority. She sat there humiliated beyond repair, unable to hide what she'd done, unable to escape the physical evidence of her own greed. Justice wasn't swift, but it was complete, it was thorough, and it was undeniably satisfying. That's the end of the story. Karen got caught, faced the consequences, and learned that you can't violate people's trust and expect to walk away unscathed. If you enjoyed this story, and you want to see more HOA drama, more neighborhood showdowns, more stories about people finally getting what they deserve, please like and subscribe. Drop a comment below and let me know. Do you think she got what she deserves? Or do you think the punishment was too harsh? I want to hear from you.